Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Chingo Bling. Today, man, we have a special guest. At Tim Runs His Mouth. I know you follow him. I know you've seen him. What's up, Tim? How you doing, bro?
I'm all right. I'm alive now. I just think I lost 12 pounds. I had salmonella for 2 weeks. It was a good time.
Yeah. What'd you eat?
So I went over to my friend's house for dinner. They were like, I was leaving town in DC, and my buddy's like, his wife made these sides, and it was like collard greens and black-eyed peas. And in the middle of me like scooping them on my plate, I don't like to pretend that I'm really nice, but I'm scooping them on my plate. And she goes, "Yeah, these were frozen from New Year's. And we just decided to reheat them today." This was like 2 weeks ago. So I hope they enjoyed saving the $3 that they saved so that they could ruin the rain. I had to fly to Florida after that. I was literally just shacked up in a room with a toilet for a week afterwards. So like, yeah, that was really great. And I want to thank my friends. And from now on, I'm ordering them like a 5-pound bag of black-eyed peas from now on. I'm just going to send it to them every other month.
Yeah, man, it's Biden's America, bro. You have to you can't have fresh collard greens, bro. You got to see what other collard greens you already have.
They're getting priced out right now. No, it's true. I mean, dude, hey, I don't know. I mean, you travel all the time. You fly in Southwest Airlines?
Yeah. That's where I get my points and all that. Yep.
I switched to American recently. I just used my last Southwest to go to DC actually like 2 weeks ago. And man, they're all grounded this morning when we record this. Like, that's scary, dude. Like, I think we're under attack from another country. Not to go total conspiracy theorist, but this has never happened before. And this is what, 2 or 3 times that all of Southwest has been grounded?
So Southwest was grounded today?
Yeah. Every flight.
Did they give a reason? Was it that software glitch thing again?
Yeah, they said software glitch. You know what software glitch means? It means they were hacked.
You know what's crazy, man? I have an old clip of me just like be funny, trying to like let people know, like, hey, you're gonna start seeing some stuff, and it's unrestricted warfare, and hopefully people start catching on.
Train derailments with toxic chemicals. I mean, train derailments are common, but not like ones full of toxic chemicals. And then all the food plants getting burned up. I mean, you're like, okay, at some point, they have to admit that we're in like World War III. This is like a soft war that we're in right now.
Well, we actually have boots on the ground out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, which we wouldn't have known about had it not been for a leak.
Exactly. And isn't it interesting how like I just trip out on how like when are the normies going to start kind of like trying to reframe things for themselves instead of like, oh yeah, I was told that this is a like national security thing and this kid,
They aren't. I don't think they are. I mean, so I just posted the video on Instagram today. 3 years ago today was when California filled in all the skate parks in Venice Beach with sand so people couldn't get outside and get exercise. And you take a look at that and like people just went along with it, right? I mean, there were smart people who like dug it out, but people went along with being locked down. And I mean, many people went along with being locked down. You still go to the grocery store today, people are still wearing masks. So like, when will normies wake up? I mean, maybe there's a couple, but it's not looking good. This is like, man, we got serious real quick here.
Yeah. Well, hey, dude, I've only got you for 30 minutes. Shout out to our sponsors, man. I'll just take this moment. The companies that believe in what we do and they back us up, and these companies aren't trying to be activists with an agenda, trying to censor and police everything we say. All the opinions said on here are all Tim's.
Yeah, no, it's true.
No, I'm just giving a disclaimer about myself. But shout out to Pi Tequila, man. They're sponsoring all my stand-up dates in Texas. Nice. Hey, brother, so you doing any stand-up lately?
I am. So get this. And I had asked you for some spots, and then I got busy because I wanted to come and like hang out with you actually and just kind of do some free stuff. But like, I am taping a special on Saturday in Garland. It's totally packed. We got about 100 people coming out for this theater that we have, kind of a private theater because I don't want to be attacked just yet.
Yeah.
Which is really fun because I get death threats like every other day. Crazy how opinions do that.
Yeah, right.
But I'm doing that, and I have the deal. I'm going to be Rumble's 3rd comedy special ever. So they had Russell Brand, Jim Brewer, and then they've lowered themselves to the budget's run out, and they got Tim Young as their 3rd special on May 13th. It debuts.
May 13th on Rumble, exclusively on Rumble.
Yep.
Tim Young. What is the name of that special, bro?
Tim Runs His Mouth. See, I didn't branch far from the brand. I was like, and that's the I have a new fiance. We got engaged 6 months ago, and this is the studio that we actually built together here in our office. You can see all the notes behind me for actually the comedy show. But and she was like, dude, just call your shit like Tim Runs His Mouth. That's the name of our podcast. Tim Runs His Mouth. She's like, you've got the branding there already, so just do it. I'm like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
I found this studio, man. I got to tell you, like, as a comic, and I'm sure there are comics that listen to your podcast. I got this studio, and I'll tell you about it later offline. But these guys cleaned out. They own a public storage facility, and they wiped out like 20 storage lockers for themselves, and they made a pro recording studio, a pro theater, and a photo studio. And the theater has 7 4K cameras in it and pro audio. So like, I'm like, what? And it seats like 110. And I'm like, can I rent this from you? And they're like, yeah, you can have it. That's like a dream. This is like a for what you would do for like a comedy special. Like this would probably cost me like $20,000 normally, and it is not anywhere even near 1,000.
So it's they have photography, studios, offices. What else did you mention?
So they have a theater, they have recording studio, and then they have a photo studio. And when you go to this place, right? Because you probably know Garland. I don't know if you've been up in the area. Not the best. And you go to this public storage facility, and it looks shady as shit. In fact, I have to send an extra email to all the people, all the attendees, because I'm going to be like, guys, it looks shady, but just walk in, follow the lights, and you walk in. It's like Shangri-La for recording. It's amazing.
Damn, that does sound like the dream, man. It's like all under one roof, like some Rob Dyrdek stand-up type stuff.
Dude, it is like Fantasy Factory up in there. Like you like walk in, it's as soon as I saw the place, I'm like, how much? And they're like, oh, we like your stuff, so we'll give you a deal.
Hell yeah, brother. How's the satellite radio gig going?
It's going. I don't know if we ever discussed this. You probably get a show there before me. They told me, the vice president of that company, I don't care anymore. They don't pay me enough. They told me so I'm their top fill-in, right? Like, so I'm in like 10, 15 times a month. They told me I would, even though the numbers go up, I will never have a show there because I'm not a minority of any kind.
What?
Yeah.
And it's called,
wish I had that in writing. Wish I had that in writing.
That is so so they have nothing but minorities. Where do I apply?
I'm serious. I'm dead serious, dude. If I had any kind of anything, and it's just like,
hey man, tell him you 1/16 Native American, bro.
When one of my friends was like, you should say you're gay, dude. And I'm like, yeah, except for like all the branding for their shows, when they get like a show, they like say all the demographics constantly. It would be like Rainbow Time with Tim. It'd be like, welcome to Politics with Tim and Rainbow. And I'd be like, you got to be kidding me. Like, that's literally.
Gather round, boys and girls.
Gather round. It's time for a story. But no, that literally, my friends were like, you didn't think to say you were like gay? And I was like, no.
You're like, rats.
I know who I'm dealing with here, and I know exactly what it would look like.
You could have took your fiance and be like, this is my bestie.
She's my beard.
That's a great one, man. Well, damn, dude, that kind of sucks. But thanks.
Well, no, I think, it's so weird because you know this too, right? Like with your audience and your touring and stuff, at some point you outgrow things. And what they have to offer there it's not up to where I am. I mean, like my social media alone, and again, it's a whole different world, right? Terrestrial radio, all this stuff, digital radio. Your digital assets far surpass, like you could tweet fart, or you could just literally make a fart noise on your Instagram and be heard and seen by more people than watch and listen to most shows. And so like, it's a whole different world out there. And you have to realize, like, because you and I are from the generation where that was still very, very valuable. And like the TV, you got to have a TV deal, and I've had a TV deal and radio and all that stuff. How valuable that was. It's not anymore. Because you can do your own thing, this, and be much more successful, and have be your own boss, where you don't have to answer anybody, and you can say awful stuff and not get called into an office.
Man, you can't put a price on that kind of freedom, like the flexibility to be able to call your own shots and kind of like own the intellectual property and just like really build something up. So, dude, I was looking for your podcast and I just typed in your name, but an old podcast of yours.
Which one came up?
No things considered.
No things considered. So here's the thing. I did pretty well with that, actually. So I was at I had deals with the Washington Examiner and the Daily Caller with that. And the Daily Caller was seen by 26 million people in a couple of weeks. And very, very similar. Again, not to be like super serious here, but like they weren't paying, man. They gave me like a trial run, right? And they were like $100 a show. And I'm putting together a 30-minute comedy show a day. And I was doing a very similar to like Tosh point out. I had like, they gave me 2 interns and $100 an episode. And like, I'm living in DC at that point. I'm like, I'll take a swing at it. I had to have extra jobs. And I'm knocking it out of the park. Our clips are getting 700,000 views by the time I'm about to wrap up there. And I show up and I go, hey, let's do a rev share on this. You know, like I don't need any money from you. And I already passed it past their sales team. I was like, let's go 50-50 rev share on ads. Right. And they were like, no. And then they offered me $35,000 a year to stay and be like this and have this podcast for them that's getting, you know, again, 700,000 views for a clip, let alone the live show. We were setting, it was back when Facebook Live was really starting to take off. And we were setting all the records for Facebook Live for the organization, and they didn't do it. I mean, a lot of this stuff, man, I've made, and I'm sure you've done this too. Again, that's why I respect you. You got a hell of a business going, but like, this is real inside baseball here. But like,
no, they love to hear me like bitch about the IRS and like me being in the middle of a lawsuit. Like they get all the behind the scenes.
But there's just like, again, and I saw this coming with digital assets. I was the largest as far as digital assets at the time person in the building. And I wasn't asking for money. I was asking for a rev share. I was like, let's go get ads. Let's not cost you guys any more than, you know, what you're bringing in. And we can probably pull a ridiculous amount of money. And it's respecting yourself at the end of the day as a performer. It's why I haven't done stand-up as much. And I'm finally taping this special is because, man, so like, 2 years ago, this will drive you crazy. 2 years ago, I was supposed to headline a tour with somebody who's pretty known, kind of a mid-level chick in the industry, and her boyfriend / husband, whatever he is now, is the agent. And he had booked a 12-city tour. My name is starting to go on venues, like in Florida. It's on like 3-4 venues. Headline: Tim Young's gonna be here. And I go, okay, cool. I'm about to book all my travel. It's gonna cost me like $4,000. And I go, can I get the paperwork on this? Can I get the contract on this so I know like I'm getting something? And he responds to me, and this is me, like at the time, multiple contracts, you know, TV, whatever. He goes, you're not in a position to get a contract. I'm like, no. And so I had a 12-city tour. This dude who was booking the tour wasn't guaranteeing me any kind of like numbers or any. And again, it could be a percentage. I don't need money up front. I just need some sort of guarantee that I'm going to get paid because, you know, coming up in comedy, you go to a place and just in business in general, if you're dealing with you spending money or you putting effort in and you're going to be like, you need to get something out of it. So I could show up to this and the guy could be like, oh, sorry, we broke even. You're not making any money on today's show. Like, who knows? Who knows? And so I had a 12-city tour that was booked and I canceled the whole thing. I had to get my lawyer involved and was like, get his name off everything. If you can't give him a contract, he's not showing up to a thing. So there's a lot of things where
he's like, my client ain't telling that one joke till that paper is in his hand.
Yeah, not getting on a plane, not doing anything. And so like, it's such a weird, you know, because I've had a lot of opportunities with organizations and I've worked with a lot of great organizations, but it's not the right fit because they're used to ripping off kids and they're used to ripping off young comics. And I'd rather take my ball and go home than work for somebody for free or make somebody else a ton of money.
I see Steven Crowder. I don't know if this is kind of like apples and oranges, but he kind of started airing out some grievances of like, look at how, like, basically he was just showing like, this thing is a business and look how they take advantage and, you know, they will if you let them. And it seriously reminded me of the music business. I was just like, wow, it's the same thing.
It is. No, you think because it's conservative that people are trying to do good. No, it's all business. They're all just turning a profit, right? I mean, take a look at like, again, I don't have any problems with the Daily Wire's business, right? But like they have that one chick now, like Brett Cooper, like the young chick that does the podcast that they put all their resources behind and it's to have turned into a thing. God bless her. God bless them. You know, they're making their money, but it's totally performative, right? They like studied what a college looking podcast should look like, what the room should look like, what her behavior, she's directed, she's written for, like, and it's turning a profit. They're not like moving the needle politically. They're preaching to the choir and it's just entertainment. And I think that's the one thing that like Crowder exposed. Crowder has a hell of a business, man. And like, God bless him for being like, again, like first mover on YouTube. and he exposed something, but I think like he kind of went about it wrong, and like it was pretty obviously a play to start his own thing, and so it backfired. But it was like in that instance, it was like everybody's wrong, but everybody's right. And it was interesting to see the CEO of the Daily Wire come out and like do a do a breakdown of the contract. And I'm like, I'm watching this and I'm like, you guys, these are millionaires are arguing over $50 million right now. And I'm watching, you know, people who go do construction for a living, arguing over who's right of the two millionaires, arguing over, you know, a speaking gig for $50 million. I'm like, guys, we got bigger fish to fry in America right now than dealing with these contracts. So like ultimately, like for you and I, it's fun to see because we're like, oh, these two, let's see like what was in this contract, and how much money's out there. But like normal, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, normal people. This is what happens when you have a radio host on your show.
Good. No, I'm listening
nonstop. But like normal people looking at this, I'm like, guys, like go have your family. You know, screw both these guys. Like go live your life. You don't worry about this. Just be entertained and go home. And don't necessarily spend your money anywhere.
Yeah, like when some of my, I guess when some people call me like, oh, Chingo Bling is just a grifter and he's jumping on this politics stuff for attention and someone's paying him and all this, you know, and they probably hear these two millionaires arguing about 50 million, you know, and people get to thinking like there's so much money in politics, you know, commentating and stuff. And I'm just like, where? Because I've lost. Dude, some like management at comedy clubs want to be activists and have an agenda and then play economic warfare with me. And hey man, I'm from the rap game, bro. You know, it's different. It's a different set of rules, bro. But
I'll tell you this for like all the grifter stuff and all the money stuff, because I get that too, obviously. And I always say like I haven't asked for money from people because I think that's kind of grifty-ish. I mean, because I'm not putting out a product yet that I think is worth money, other than like hats and shirts and stuff like that. And you give a tangible thing, you put on a performance. That's not a grift at all. You're giving. That's a hell of a hard job. But I was offered at one point. I was offered from Russia Today, the RT network. They offered me through another American. They were like, you know, we can probably get you $500,000 to do a show here. And I'm like, that's a mistake. I feel like working for the Russian Federation for $500,000 years. No thanks.
The people be like, you know, Tim's a grifter. He's a Russian asset. You're holding a stack of money. Like, what? How? I can't even hear
rubles.
Like rubles now. So many rubles from the oligarchs.
Dude, at one point, actually, and this is the weird thing, and I of course talked to all my security people about it, because like it's so weird to be in politics and be like and I hate the term influencer, right? But like I actually like there's a pile of congressmen and senators that follow me, and they like I get calls for meetings and stuff. It's wild. Because I just think I'm a normal person, even though I have a law degree and almost got my doctorate in public policy at one point. And I've worked in policy. But early on, like 2016, I was invited to speak at a quote unquote free speech conference held by the Russian Federation in Moscow. And I took it to my security people, and like it was torn, right? One guy was like, yes, they're gonna honeypot you, like we'll give you like phones to take and stuff, and let them like hack you and see what you get. And my other friend was like, absolutely fucking not. They're going to like, it was like the same thing. They're like, they're going to try to hold something over your head. And like, you know, and I'm like, okay. So I just didn't know. But man,
like, there's going to be a P tape. Yeah. There's going to be a laptop.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, it's just like, at this point, I don't care anymore. I should have done it. You know, now that like things are like went to shit in this country, I'm like, yeah, I should have just gone and done a Russian Federation free. Who attends the free speech conference in Russia to see Tim Young? Honeypots.
Yeah, we want citizens to be able to express themselves.
Yeah, that place. Didn't they just locked a guy in jail for like 25 years for speaking out against Putin?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they gave here in America, they gave Homeboy 10 years for a meme, right?
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. The text whatever to Hillary to vote. Like it was it was literally a stupid meme. That's dude, we're in a scary place. I'll end up in a gulag. It's fine.
Oh, dude, I've read. I didn't finish any of those books, but like the Gulag art, how you say that, archipelago.
Yeah.
They roast me on the Patreon all the time because that's a hard word. But I always joke like I've read too many chapters of those books of like, you know, Stalin and Find Me the Man and I'll find you the crime, like show trials. You know what I mean? So let me ask you this, dude. You're from Texas. What took you to DC?
No, actually, I'm from Baltimore.
Oh, you're from Baltimore, but
Yeah, I grew up in Baltimore, man. I grew up in the hood in Baltimore. I was like, I'm literally, and I do a whole bit on this, but like for real, I was a white kid from the hood.
dude,
And
we have a white kid from Baltimore on our Patreon, on the RPT. He's a member of the TIA, the Tamal Intelligence Agency. Stand back, stand by. That's the TIA. And yeah, shout out to Stevie Capone. Stevie Capone, the white boy from Baltimore. He's in there on the Discord, talking shit to all the
I
Mexicans.
need to know what part of Baltimore he's from before he like,
Yeah,
so I
before
can
he gets to a
verify.
street cred. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I was so not only did I so I grew up in Baltimore, I went to law school there, and I was trained as a public defender in Baltimore City. So like when people talk about crime and like they talk about like dirty cops and stuff like that, man, like I know all about it. Like when I'm like the one Republican who like when an unarmed black guy gets shot, I'm like, oh, it's the cop, and like I automatically like I'm and people are like probably like you're a libtard, how dare you, blah blah blah. And like Candace Owens shows up and she's like, let's see this black guy's rep sheet, and I show up and I'm like, nah, cops are dirty, man. You grew up in Baltimore like for like 5 minutes and pay attention. You're like, cops are the worst. I mean, again, not like all cops, just Baltimore, Chicago. Yeah.
And then what do you think about Chicago hiring that, I guess, electing, air quotes, the super left of Lori Lightfoot mayor?
Dude, they had that they've had all that young like mob violence, and he was like, just let them demonstrate. Like he literally said that was another one that came out like this morning. Like Chicago. So it's weird. So the fiance is a little bit younger than me. She's in her 20s. And like there's a couple of towns she hasn't been to. And like you've traveled everywhere. I've traveled everywhere. There's towns I never want to go to again. And Chicago's one of those towns. And the thing is, I might have to go to Chicago. Chicago has a bunch of production that comes out of there with news stuff. They have a great news network there called News Nation that's taken off. And I've done that a bunch. But when I go into Chicago, I do work, I leave. Like I do not go out or do anything anymore. I used to walk across cities. One time I remember in like the mid 2000s, like the double zeros, I guess. I walked straight across Philadelphia at night, and people were like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "Nah." People are probably more afraid of a white guy walking across the hood at night than anything else. But because I look like a psychopath at that point. But I wouldn't go to any of these. Like, I don't want to be in Philadelphia anymore unless I just drop in during the day to like go to like, like Constitution Hall or whatever and get out of there. Chicago, like going, get out for work. I have no desire to go to New York anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Baltimore is a shithole. Apparently Washington per capita is the murder capital of the country. And we just went there very, very briefly. I have no desire to go to these towns anymore. And they should be amazing towns. San Francisco is another one. Why would you go to San Francisco? You got a millionaire tech giant. What was it? The guy that created Cash App was stabbed.
Yeah.
If he can be stabbed, if Whole Foods leaves San Francisco, it's not a good place anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. You said, what is it? Walmart left Seattle now because it's so bad. The crime is so bad there, and they do nothing about it.
I think they're shutting. I think Walmart is shutting down some Chicago stores as well.
Yeah, of course. Walmart for the longest time prided itself in not shutting down stores. And you're in places now that these places suck so bad and are so violent that they're getting shut down everywhere. It's crazy.
In LA, I saw some footage of a whole bunch of little Mexican kids. We call them Edgars because they got that haircut, the funky little fluffy weird edge up, and it looked like 100 of them. They just broke the windows of a gas station convenience store. They took all the hot Cheetos, all the Takis, like a whole bunch of processed foods, condoms, and weird shit. And what they don't realize now, that I guess maybe because I'm 43 and I pay attention to this stuff, but I was thinking to myself, like, okay, they did this in their own neighborhood. They did it in Compton. And it's like, you don't understand that you're about to make y'all's situation worse because crime causes poverty. Less companies are going to want to invest and go recruit and hire and post up and develop and regenerate. And it's like, less businesses want to set up a brick and mortar that would have provided jobs to someone in your community. So it's like the irony.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, look at like Black Lives Matter, right? How much money have they made off of riots and not given a penny to black communities to help improve things? I was in the middle. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I traveled during COVID. I went to 35 states and 80 cities when everything was shut down, and I ended up in the middle of the George Floyd riots by accident. I'd gotten off a train literally that morning when the riots started. And number one, very interesting to see in the black communities, the people who were causing the problems were white agitators, like Antifa white agitators. It wasn't black people. Black people were protesting. That's cool. White people were like causing the violence and stuff. It was like kids that come in, these like anarchist losers that come in and just want to cause problems. And they're probably paid by somebody. But all those black-owned businesses that were destroyed in Minneapolis, in like the hood Minneapolis and St. Paul, and not a dime of Black Lives Matter money went to fix it.
Of course, you didn't hear that from the media. The media didn't promote that.
You also didn't see, dude, during the day, like I had a moment during the day because, and I went back through there were folks like the people who live there cleaning up the mess, coming together, the community coming together and cleaning up what the rioters destroyed, right? Like actually taking care of their community. Again, like it's painful. Like when you said, like these people destroy their own communities. In this instance, it wasn't these people. They were trying to keep their community clean, you know, and have like peaceful protests. But these outside agitators caused a lot of problems. And again, like this is another like point of contention where like nobody's getting helped by this, right? Because the left doesn't recognize it, the media doesn't recognize it, and then people on the right are too busy screaming about clickbait points, talking points, and not realizing what's going on and not being honest about what's happening. And it's just like everybody's wrong and everybody's busy cashing in on the extremes, and nobody's in the middle like empowering people and making people, you know, realize what's actually happening.
That's an interesting point about the extremes, because someone like myself or someone else that might be like, I guess technically, you know, America first or on the right or a Trump or whatever, they sometimes, and again, I'm speaking for myself, it's like you look at someone that's on the left and it's like, bro, I know you're not down with all the stuff that the left is pushing, but do you at least acknowledge and recognize that like a lot of this weird stuff that's going on is being embraced and pushed and accepted by one particular political party who's just, I guess, doing their best to have like this Maoist red color guard, like struggle sessions, you know, these like rich Marxist little commie kids that just want white people with money to suffer.
Yeah. It's just wild to me. But I mean, on the flip side, again, like one side is causing all the problems, and on the other side, like we're not getting solutions from people. We're getting the argument between Steven Crowder and Daily Wire over a $50 million contract. we're realizing that people are just in it to make money, and it's a scary place to be. But also, like again, like maybe one of the reasons that I'm not working, I know one of the reasons that I haven't worked with some of these companies is that I want to fall asleep at night, and I you know I realize. And again, I'm still a nobody in the big scheme of things. I have whatever followers or whatever, but like, I don't want somebody to be a bad actor because of what I've said. I want somebody to be a better actor because of what I said. Like I had somebody yesterday call me up and ask me about advice about like starting a podcast, an older lady who's like 60. She's like, I want to start a podcast. Like I want to, and she's, I think is she Cuban? I don't know. She's in Florida anyway, but she called me up and she's like, you inspired me to do this. Like, can you help me out with it? I'm like, hell yeah, I'll help you out with that. Are you kidding me? Like, I want more people. Like, again, I always, when I host radio and I talk to people, like I'm no different than anybody else. I might be a little bit funnier or whatever. I have an ego. But like ultimately, just because I have a camera set up and this is what I do for a living, I'm no different than anybody else. You know, it's just my job. And I think everybody needs to realize that. And politicians like to elevate themselves above things. And these like quote unquote influencers like to elevate themselves above and make it seem like they're something special. They aren't. They're just doing their job. And I think the more that people realize that they're no different and they shouldn't be looked up to, maybe listened to, but not looked up to because they're just as fallible as everybody else. Like, I think that's when you empower people. And that's kind of where I want to be, like kind of getting other people involved and getting people started doing stuff. So.
I think you're reaching a ton of people. Your tweets are like jokes, bro. They're like so witty and well written and concise, and just kind of gets to the heart of the matter of what this country's going through, man. Like, I never thought I'd be having discussions with like my wife or family or something like, hey, if stuff gets real bad, where are we gonna go? Because it's like the country is like literally just being derailed. And this sounds so weird to people that have followed me for like 15 years or however long, because they're just used to me being like a silly dude doing some like shit with wigs or parodies or rapping or, just a bunch of random, some things, some ignorant things. But to hear me be like, are we gonna have to be immigrants? Like, America is just not on the right track, bro. And you know, some people don't have a lot of confidence and faith in these the way our selections are set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what all platforms you're on with this, so we're gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
I don't have it anymore.
Some
I don't
people,
have it
yes.
anymore.
I
I
know,
don't
right?
think, here's the
The
thing.
algorithm.
I don't think anything illegal happened. I think certain areas Democrats changed the laws and had the plan the whole time.
Yeah,
And
you had
so,
that. Yeah, you had Mark Elias changing some stuff, and you know, and now Trump's saying like, "Hey, we need a ballot harvest."
yeah, yeah. By the way, that's when I realized that like something was moving with my stuff. Like I had been called in, and I've written policy and I've broken down policy for almost every major agency in government. So like Department of Health was an early one, Department of Justice, all that kind of stuff. I've done some really wild stuff. But like the first time I realized that like my stuff was going somewhere, I made fun of Trump or somebody from the Trump administration at my Daily Caller show, and I got a phone call, and they were like, "Dude, why'd you do that?" I'm like, "Well, you suck today." And then we had this conversation, and the person, I'm still good friends with this person, but like that was the first time I was like, oh, I think we're onto something here. But what's very interesting to me, honestly, and this is why you can where you can see if there's manipulation and stuff. You know, I'm obviously a right wing guy. You would think a company would a major company, and I've talked with NBC before, and ABC a little bit, but like you would think a major company would invest in somebody like me, just because you're leaving half of the country out there, and there's so much money out there to be like when you hear that Daily Wire's offering Steven Crowder 50 million for 4 years, like there's so much money out there for this stuff. And there's such an audience out there, and they're not even thinking about it. Like same with like films and stuff. Why are they going ultra woke? Like why now, you know, Marvel sucks because everything is some sort of like lecture. But you could literally just reach out, even like casually reach out to. You see like crazy Kanye. He'll say something sort of conservative. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, Kanye's amazing." It's like, he's nuts. But like how quick people like go buy his shit. You know, like the one year, I don't know how much you paid attention to Kanye, but like he like produced the Pornhub Awards and made like their dildo awards when he gave them out a couple years ago.
What?
And the very next year, he did that Sunday Service album. All right. And he's doing conservative stuff. I'm like, are you guys not paying attention? Did anybody ever like he literally produced and created the Pornhub Awards and the awards and the awards themselves? Like he designed it because he's an artist. And the next year he's like banging the conservative drum and doing Sunday Service. I'm like, guys, yo, wake up. Like stop elevating crazy people.
I had no idea he was up in there scoping stuff.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like that's the thing, right? Like, so like, and conservatives are so thirsty for something. Like somebody the other day, and this is like, again, my show's going to be good, right? My stand-up show's going to be good. But like the other day, somebody's like, are you worried? Are you like nervous? I'm like, no, because there's literally no other conservative product out there doing stand-up right now. I could suck and still do well on this thing. I won't, but like, that's how bad it is. That's how empty and dry the market is right now. And like you see, like occasionally a super lefty comic will make like a right wing joke or say something about whatever, and it'll go nuts. But otherwise, like I mean, like look at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is a libertarian at best, more like populist kind of lefty Dem. But because he talks like a normal human, he's the biggest talk show host in the world right now because he's just a curious guy who's informed and wants to learn from his guests. That's it. And he's the biggest thing ever for just being normal, really. It's crazy.
He survived CNN's fake news where they you see taking horse goo that he got from a veterinarian, you know, and then they made him Hitler of the month when they compiled a bunch of N-word stuff, and nobody bothered to check context. Like I know, like I give Latinos a hard time. Like I say, dude, we're gonna be the last ones to figure out the concept of context. And I was like, we're the most gullible and hard-headed at the same time.
Have you met white people?
I know a few.
I grew up like we were like hood / trailer park. There was a trailer park down the street. Like we were like, I was the weird, like I grew up in the poorest. See, that's the thing. Like we aren't divided in this country by race. We're divided by socioeconomics because people who are living together that are all poor I never saw anything different. We never saw anything different between each other when we were growing up poor. We just knew we were poor. And even then we really didn't know we were poor until we were like, you know, teenagers and like, oh wait,
Yeah.
this is bad. We're actually going to the church pantry for food, aren't we?
Yeah.
But like that again, like this division is done for politics. It's because of the, I think it's clickbait is out of control, and it went from the internet to like opening emails to like tuning into things like everything's the worst in the news, and now they're actually making everything the actual worst in the world, so that people can technically it's clickbait to destroy everything because you need to turn to somebody and turn to the government to fix it, right? The problems that they caused.
Hey, so remind everybody, when does the special drop?
May 13th. I just got all the stuff today. It's crazy. So it's going to be a Rumble. It's going to be a Rumble special event. Third ever comedy special. And I promise I'll say something funny there instead of what we talked about today. But no, it's we tape it this Saturday in Garland. And then it's going to be live on Rumble May 13th. It's going to be wild. And then we're going to do a Q&A afterwards and hang out with everybody.
Oh man, March 13th on Rumble. Tim,
yeah.
I'm sorry, May, dude. That's like right around the corner.
You and I are like the same age. I'm 42. We do the same thing, dude. We're just
May 13th on Rumble. Tim runs his mouth, dude. I can't wait to watch it. We're everybody from the TIA, the Tamales Intelligence Agency, are gonna be ready, man, on Rumble to support and spread the word. May 13th. Tim runs his mouth. Hey man, I appreciate your time, brother, and hopefully we could like meet up and do some stand-up.
Here's the thing, and everybody should go to Rumble now. Tim runs his mouth. Go follow me there. That's my channel, and we've been doing the podcast there. But we're gonna start having guests on the podcast. I obviously want you on. And look, I want to come out. I literally offered before, and then my schedule didn't work out. I'm gonna come out one weekend where you are somewhere and just guest for free for you and just do a couple minutes and talk about how great you are to everybody. I'll sell your merchandise in the parking lot. You
know? Perfect, man. Yeah, I'll hit you up when I'm in Arlington, Addison, or something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you, brother. I appreciate your time, man. May 13th, Tim runs his mouth on Rumble.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother. I'm about to shout out some of our sponsors, man. So
do it.
You could probably hang up if you want.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir. And like I said, we're going to start getting the guests together. We've been just kind of like playing around with the channel now. But as soon as we do that, we're going to be doing longer form stuff like you do. So
awesome. Everybody get on Rumble and subscribe and hit that notification bell right now.
Yep. Tim runs his mouth. See you guys.
Peace. Thank you so much, Tim.
Bye.
Shout out to Mary's Creek Cattle Company, man. Mary's Creek Cattle Company. Their inventory is almost ready. There's a limited, finite amount of steers and beef and cattle that they have. So if you're trying to reserve your carne, reserve your beef, hit them up on the website, mc3tx.com. The letter M, the letter C, the number 3tx.com. You just need a $400 deposit, man. Reserve your half calf, your steer. Once it gets processed, this is how I did it, dude. When my half calf was ready, I still got a ton left over in the freezer. Like I need to start that and start processing this stuff. But like when my half calf was ready, we met up at, I guess it was like a farmer's market in Pearland, and they loaded me up with these boxes of beautiful, gorgeous frozen steaks, man. Steak, ground beef, todo carnal. The head, the lengua, el corazón, whatever you need, whatever you want. You select your choice cuts, and it's so delicious. You're so better knowing that you're giving your family something that was, grass-fed here in Texas, grass-finished. Dude, these cows live better than us. I'm just gonna let y'all know, man. These cows don't be in traffic. They don't be seeing graffiti, prostitution, and drug deals going down. They're out there in Victoria, Texas, getting beautiful sunshine, the breeze, the wind. They're happy, and reserve yours now. mc3tx.com. Tell them Chingo sent you. Thank you guys so much. Peace. See you later. Oh yeah, I'm headed to Sacramento. Tonight. All right, this episode goes up Wednesday, and I'll be performing in Sacramento at the Punchline tonight, Wednesday. San Jose Improv tomorrow on 420. Brownsville this Friday on 421. Alamo, Texas this Saturday on 422. Get your tickets now, chingobling.com. Peace.